you're about to pay your quarterback.
Very true. Very true. And as you mentioned, Deommodore Lenoir has been a bit of a bright spot. And because he's been a bit of a bright spot, they've paid attention. And not only did they pay attention, they just went ahead and paid him in general. 5 years, $92 million extension. The 49ers, with a very well appreciated mid-season transaction getting handled, as opposed to playing hard to get in free agency and seeing what happens. Obviously, his contributions this year have been very important. I just kind of want to get your perspective on what this sort of means for us long term. I know you mentioned sort of the depth versus us paying versus our defensive backs. Obviously, this is a statement which is saying we want to make sure that we've got this guy taken care of, and especially with the unfortunate absence right now of Mooney Ward. This is even more important than ever to give this man some confidence that we believe in him in the long term.
Yeah, so I'll give you a different take that I think probably I'm not sure that anybody else has given on the situation. So I look at this extension as essentially an evolution of thought from the 49ers. Because 2 years ago, in this exact spot, when they forked over a big contract to a corner, which was Mooney Ward, they paid an outside corner. They didn't sign a nickel, right? They let K1 Williams walk. Then they drafted a nickel and Sam Womack. That didn't necessarily work out. Deommodore Lenoir ended up starting outside. Jimmy Ward played nickel for them. He played very well. They let him walk again. And they tried to solve this problem with Isaiah Oliver, and it was a disaster. And only one person in the media, by the way, Sourdeath Sam, predicted that Isaiah Oliver was going to be a disaster for the 49ers, and that was me. So, just putting that out there. What I'm bringing this to say as an evolution of thought is because they went from, hey, we need to pay an outside corner and let's solve this nickel problem, how we're going to solve it, to now they're paying all the money for the guy that plays outside and in the nickel because they realize, one, how it's important for their run defense when they play their nickel because he essentially does the job of the Sam linebacker in certain run fits. Two, how good Lenore is in both man coverage and playing outside. And then three, it's the toughness of your defense when you have a nickel corner. He's a little more gritty. He adds a little more toughness. And so we're seeing that evolution of thought because now they're about to essentially play the outside corner problem by drafting players and going the cheaper route, right? They're going to go with Renardo Green, and then it's going to be some form of whoever replaces Mooney Ward in the long term playing outside, likely a draft pick. And so I think it's interesting that we're seeing them change and evolve over time. I think it's something they never get credit for, right? Like people talk about Shanahan never changes, Lynch never changes. If you actually look at their entire regime and their history, it's a lot of we made a mistake here and we're going to do a complete 180 here. And sometimes the 180 doesn't work either, but you can't fault them for trying the same thing over and over again. They try something different, they definitely change it. And here's them. Obviously, Lenore deserves to get paid. That part is a given, but I think it's also showing that they wanted to pay the nickel because they realized how difficult it was to play defense without having a good nickel in this defense last year, not having that spot solidified, and Lenore solidifies it for sure. And the big talking point of the Super Bowl also, just to emphasize my point a little bit more, was that Lenore didn't play nickel and Logan Ryan did. And so just putting that out there too.
That was a big revelation in retrospect. I believe that information obviously came out after a couple weeks after. And yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise to me, and I think the trade deadline sort of reemphasized it, was that the 49ers effectively, in my opinion, it seems as though they've sort of hung their hat on Nick Bosa, and it seems like they're just trying to hope for. I think they're trying to hope that the depth that they install around it is gonna be good enough. It's like depth tape. They're just kind of depth taping the D line and just saying, hey, none of these guys are terrible. All of these guys are
Right.
pretty good. We'll have a couple misplays here and there, but if we have enough of them, then we know that the fall off isn't going to be so steep that we're doomed by the handful of contracts we played in which 2 out of 4 of our big guys up front are injured or unavailable, etc. So
Trusting the coaching too, right?
trusting that Chris Kosaric can, build a bear these defensive linemen into monsters, which he has a good enough track record where at least we can insinuate that the progress will be made to at least notch up their Madden rating a little bit, so to speak. But look, I mean, he's got two. Lenoir's got 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, 53 tackles this year. I mean, he's putting in work. Also had a touchdown on a blocked field goal, which was much appreciated against the Arizona Cardinals. But we should be
And he's a good
grateful.
trash talker.
Oh,
Your
and
show would appreciate that.
I was about to say, and we should be so grateful that we've got a dog back there. Oh, you know what? Fuck, I forgot to talk about my dog of the day. I have something to do with you. But yeah, so I much appreciate 5 years, 92 million. Fuck it, get it done now. I'm okay with that. Don't let him go out into the market, figure out what he's really worth, because then you're really going to pay. I'm just saying. Any last thoughts on this
Right.
contract?
And then the other thing is they had he also was very important for him to get that contract done now if it was going to be with the 49ers, because once Brock Purdy gets paid, the bank is about to close. And that's why I think we saw the total desperation from everyone to get paid. And might I add, Sourdeath Sam, that's why I think Mooney Ward is just a little bit salty this year, because he knows that they're not opening the Brinks truck for him.
Interesting. Interesting. I never thought of that, but that's very interesting. And I don't doubt it.